So could I ask you quickly to just very briefly tell me what you guys do? What do your companies do? Kristian, you start.
Kristian Brink, CEO at Urban Sharing. We're a Norwegian software platform for bikeshare systems, and we also do operational efficiency tools. Right now we're in 8 cities in Europe, 3 largest cities of Norway, Milan, Gdansk, Rouen in France, and in Finland we have one system too. And right now we're here at Micromobility Europe promoting our newest tool, Urban Crew, that brings AI and machine learning into operations. So yeah, thank you for the few brave people that have joined this panel today. It's going to be cool and interesting.
My name is Arturs Burnin. I'm CEO and founder of Micromobility. We are a software provider from Riga, Latvia, one of the most technologically advanced, and we focus on 3 core verticals. One is the vehicle sharing, so we power entrepreneurs to launch and scale scooter, bike, moped, car sharing businesses. So that's one vertical where we focus. Recently, we also entered car rental and digital rental industry. So we already have a very good pilots across different countries worldwide where we help with digital rental solutions. And one of the latest products we have is a ride-hail platform as well, also focusing for taxi companies and entrepreneurs. So far, we helped to launch more than 300 projects across 67 countries. And this year, it looks like we will reach 400 projects total.
Hi, my name is Itamar Kunik. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Monogoto. We do software-defined connectivity. All of the vehicles and the devices mentioned here, they have to connect to the network. They have to have access to the internet, because otherwise the riders or the people who use the vehicles, they won't be able to communicate. Someone behind the scenes won't be able to operate if they don't know where the vehicles are. So our software-defined connectivity platform helps thousands of customers and developers who use our platforms. We have millions of devices under management, and we help to get connected in a modern way. So the topic for today is Fleet 2.0, but you look at what are the driving parameters for software solutions for fleet. You need to use AI and leverage all the data points that you have, but you have to maintain cyber posture and cybersecurity. Those are the predominant things that our connectivity brings to the table.
Great, thank you guys. So I envision kind of this conversation being how software is being used today, and then the future of AI and some of the use cases we envision for it going forward. So Arturs, if I can start with you, can you kind of set the scene with how Micromobility's software platform is being used day in, day out by operators to optimize their operations?
Thanks for the question. Sure, I can talk a lot about different tools and things that we have, but if we focus only on the fleet maintenance and management, I would divide it in 3 core categories. We can call it 3P for just like to remember the core. So the first one is proactive maintenance. This means that when the customer notices some issue on the vehicle, either their bike or moped, and reports an issue, then the operator using a dashboard can verify it and create a ticket for the fleet managers to fix the issue. It can be damage or like some problem might be with a signal or something. So that's what we call it proactive, because you need to react on the information that you receive from the customers. Second P is, let's say, preventive. So we know that every vehicle have a lifespan. Each detail have a different lifespan. Let's say wheels should be checked every 1,000 kilometers for one type of vehicle. For car, maybe it's more, it's like 10,000 kilometers, right? So using the data from IoT feed, we can create automated tasks. And let's say you can do the task that every 15 rides you need to check the signals, or every 1,000 kilometers you need to check the tires, or maybe you need to clean the vehicle once a month on average. So this is preventive before the damage happens. The fleet managers already can forecast what task should be done and maintain the fleet in a good shape. And the third one, which is, let's say, technologically most interesting one, and also is where we work with different partners on AI perspective, it's predictive. So once the fleet is in good shape, then the next question goes to the place, and fleet operators don't know where to place the vehicles, right? So we work with different providers on AI, and they help us to predict, depending on demand, the forecast of the weather, the events, the historical data, the city environment and infrastructure, where the vehicle should be placed. And then we can create a task for the fleet operators to, okay, you need to allocate 100 bikes there, 50 mopeds here, and 20 scooters on that district to optimize the revenue. And we call it predictive because you don't know what will happen, but you already can be ready and allocate the vehicles to optimize the revenue for the whole business.
Great, thank you. And that predictive maintenance, that's something that Urban Sharing does a lot of with Urban Crew, what you're showcasing here at the conference. Yeah. Can you tell me more about how Urban Crew is leveraging more AI and machine learnings to inform its insights?
Yeah. We had a similar case as Micromobility in terms of rebalancing, and especially we have been focusing mostly on operators that are publicly subsidized, so mostly station-based bike share, but that is changing a lot lately. So you have all sorts of setups, station-based, hybrid, virtual stations, free-floating. And your algorithm needs to cater for all of that. It needs to cater for a completely anarchical system or a very organized station-based system, right? It also needs to take into account the historical data, but the bike share specifically is very sensitive to climate and weather changes. Not climate change, but directly a city inclemency, for example, rain. So we have that data stream as well taken into consideration. The last one we have introduced just last quarter was traffic data, finally. So getting your operators that are in the vans on the street that have to carry out rebalancing and other actions that I'm going to tell you in a second, be able to see what areas are lower traffic so you can take advantage of those earlier than actually going into a traffic jam and just spending the day there. We basically have built all of that with a dispatch tool that allows the operator to have a complete control and oversight of what is going on in terms of automized tasks that go right into the apps of the operators on the street, but also being able to come up with manual overrides if it's necessary. So it's not always that machine learning is right. You sometimes have a traffic accident, you have a marathon in the city, you have a big football match. Some things need to be changed on the go, on the run, and we have catered for that. We don't only focus on rebalancing, we also focus on street maintenance. We discovered after working with our clients that a lot of the maintenance can be done on the street instead of actually taking all the vehicles back to the warehouse and back out again. You can simply, with a screwdriver and a couple spare parts, be able to do a lot of the maintenance on the street. So we've catered for that as well. And battery swaps, which in many cases is also a headache for a lot of operators. So those three actions are combined in our algorithm.
Okay, great, thank you. And Itamar, software-defined connectivity, where does it play a role in this? And how do you envision it shaping the micromobility industry as a whole?
That's a great question, because from our perspective, the world of connectivity experienced three phases. It started 20 years ago when we used SIM cards that belonged to human networks. That was bad for everyone. Very expensive, no features. It wasn't good. Second iteration was regular connectivity that everyone knows. You get an IoT SIM card, you put it on your device, you get access to the internet, and you pay your bill. That's what most of the people are familiar with. But the next generation requires much more capabilities. Software-defined is the name that we termed. So the third evolution with software-defined connectivity, now it's all event-based. So you get your vehicles, you understand where they are, they generate a lot of events, and now you can start monitoring, doing the predictive maintenance, doing the balancing of the fleets, but also understanding what goes on in the infrastructure. So for example, if you take a micromobility vehicle and you put it in, let's say, here, you're part of the European Union, you fall under GDPR. But if you take the same scooter and you just drop it in the US, it should behave differently. Right? So here it has to send data to the European servers because of GDPR. And in the US, it's not allowed to send to the European server. So what do? Like, do you pre-bake all this hard-coded logic inside of your vehicle, or do you allow the infrastructure to support you and do this dynamically? So today, you've got AWS and Azure and many other infrastructure tools that give you all these capabilities for free as part of the infrastructure. This is where software-defined connectivity takes the next generation. So we're talking about AI, and there are a lot of data points, but you can use them in a very specific way. We believe that connectivity has to come with cybersecurity. So we're seeing more and more cases where attackers, the bad people, they take vehicles down, they do revenue leakage, they hurt your brand. Sometimes it's for fun, sometimes they want to make noises from the speaker, sometimes it's hurting the business really, really bad. So think about it. Are you aware of any IT department that doesn't do cybersecurity? It's unacceptable. But in our industry, we can say, no, we'll think about it later. We don't think so. So this world is changing dramatically. The micromobility vehicles are an attack surface, and we utilize the connectivity layer and AI to make sure you don't get any outside actors, you don't get any malicious activities within your network. You deploy all the best practices of cybersecurity, utilizing AI to make sure that your fleet is connected from inside attack or someone just exploiting and sending out information. And that is the essence, in our opinion, of Fleet Tech 2.0. Basically, it's everything that we've seen in the cloud, everything that we've seen in the backend, everything that we've seen with AWS, now being deployed on regular fleets.
Okay, so you envision cybersecurity being one of the main use cases of AI. Why do you think the industry hasn't considered cybersecurity already? Why are we behind on that?
It's a great question because I think it's an evolutionary process. When you start something, you don't jump to the 7th or 8th step. You start step by step. And think about it from networking perspective, from cloud. 25 years ago, cyber wasn't top of mind. But then we saw what happened. And step by step, the world caught up to it. And you see the same thing now with connected devices. So, maybe 10 years ago, if someone hacked a small fleet and made, such funny noises like fart noises from the speakers, that happened. It's funny, right? But now if you take next, in San Francisco, all the Waymos, if someone will hack the Waymos, that's very, very, very dangerous. So I think it's like a cat and mouse. The industry goes more mature. We see other technologies being deployed and we adopt them into the industry. And same goes with AI. So think about it. What these guys, the great features that they develop for balancing the fleet, for predictive maintenance, that has been deployed 10 years ago for backend, for server management, for fault detection. Now we can leverage those capabilities and deploy them to our industry. So it's an evolutionary step.
Okay, great. And Kristian and Arturs, then what are some use cases do you think AI is going to really serve, let's say, in the next 3 years?
I definitely think that the whole purpose of operations and AI in this case is to make, first of all, I think in this industry, the operations just profitable, because in most cases we just see that whether it's a scooter or a bike, just rough numbers, if you're not getting around €5 per vehicle per day in through each one of your vehicles, you're not going to make it until the end of the month. So your vehicle operations are really expensive. Human resources are, of course, still very much needed, and we'll see in the future if AI is even able to replace any of that, or we'll continue as we do today. That's not the point. The point is to be able to make it profitable, make margins on it. And I think in that sense, we have to link, and this is the big kind of challenge we have at Urban Sharing right now, linking your operational impacts to the economics of your operation. Basically getting the business operations in a clear overview of how much we're actually saving you in terms of margins, or how much money you're making through the trips thanks to having the vehicles in the right place at the right point in time.
Okay. And Artur, you mentioned before the idea of automated fleet rebalancing being a case of AI.
Well, sure. AI is changing, let's say, most of the parts of operations right now. If we take a look specifically on rebalancing, that there is already pilots where the vehicles detect the sidewalk riding and react on that. So there is already radars and cameras on that. I think if we're taking a look in, let's say, 3 years in the future, it's will not be too futuristic to say that probably vehicles can be able to rebalance themselves using on-the-vehicle technology. So, for example, you know that this area will be more popular, so you can instruct the vehicle to slowly move. Probably in the 3 years it will not be full speed yet allowed, but probably 5-7 kilometers an hour cities will allow that, and you can rebalance without a human being on the scooter or trying to use a van to rebalance the vehicle. So that's one of the ways that I see, like, manufacturers are looking that way, operators are looking the way, because human capital is expensive. You cannot scale the fleet without scaling the people if you want to rebalance it. So that's one of the challenges, and I think in the future we can solve it using the hardware and AI. Maybe there is a, let's say, small process of teleoperation as well, when the human from the office can view where the vehicle is self-drive and control of some element. That's like a futuristic case, let's say. There are pilots right now, but it's not yet fully deployed. However, there are already deployment on the sidewalk detection when a vehicle can detect that you are riding on a sidewalk and it reduces speed and it warns the riders that you're doing something wrong. And then there is let's say, easy solutions which already any entrepreneur can implement using AI. Let's say the same customer support. I know that a lot of our customers automating the support. So, for example, the whole discussion is powered by AI, and ticket is automatically created to the fleet management system, saying that there is a problem with this particular vehicle, and there is no human in between. So that's already easy to implement and quick solution to scale your support team, right? And at the same time, we have great capabilities of image detection. So it's easy right now to detect the damages of the vehicle and understand who from the users basically to blame for that damage, right? At the same time, you can clarify to the user in real time if the vehicle is parked very well or not, because one way how the industry was working before, it's there is a zone, you need to put in a zone, or there is a station, you need to put the vehicle in the station. Right now, using the picture, which you anyway take when you end the ride on a bike, on a scooter, on a moped, we can already instruct the user, hey, the vehicle is like 5 meters away from the bike rack, can you move it to the bike rack? Or the vehicle is preventing the door to be open and there is a door behind, so we can say that just using the simple image detection. So there's a lot of AI cases where you can already improve operations, and in a few years I think that will be even more futuristic cases. Probably it will come first to micromobility and then to general mobility as is. So it's a very exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, those futuristic cases then, so that would be a massive way to cut operational costs if these like scooters are just moving themselves, right? And also on the operational cost side, what's the potential of with these software-defined solutions saving operators from having to replace their entire fleets of hardware? Could you talk on this? It's open to all of you.
Yeah, of course. So to do a recall is very expensive. You have scenarios where vehicles are being constantly maintained, so you can revisit the vehicle. But when you have a solution that is flexible, it gives you much more capabilities. It's much more dynamic. So I think with the fact that now you can do your predictive maintenance, you can run your algorithms and understand what's going on, the same thing can be applied from the vehicle perspective. Which network am I connected to? Should I switch to another network? I'm riding in a way that in a few minutes I'm gonna lose connectivity. So can I predictively switch to another network that will give me resilient connectivity all along the way? All of this can be done on the edge, very similar to the image detection capabilities that you can do. So you leverage the fact that you have an expensive hardware that runs calculation, and you have some brain in the cloud that allows you to synchronize those events, and you make flexible decisions in real time that gives you the flexibility to react to events. You mentioned before rain, so the environment around us is dynamic. Sometimes there is a new building being constructed, or there is a truck that sits down and maybe covers a place where you've got 20 scooters parking right now. You need to be able, you can't pre-bake everything into the logic, so you need to be able to react in real time. And this is where software-defined connectivity really comes into play. You get all the data points, you get all the events, and you synchronize in real time to say, how am I reacting to the current event, but also where am I headed? So if I'm headed there, maybe I'll switch network now so I don't lose connectivity in the middle. And I do this predictively before the event even happens.
Okay, great, thank you. And with these advancements then in AI and software, how do you envision the relationship between operators, software providers, hardware providers, and cities changing? What's the wider impact on the ecosystem? Kristian, this might be one for you.
Yeah, I definitely think that cities are going to be more interested in the data of the mobility solutions that are happening in their places. I mean, so far it has been mostly mobility as a service, as a concept that cities have come up with, and they say, okay, let's actually try to just give all mobility solutions out all in one app that is going to kind of solve everything. And that it hasn't failed miserably, but it hasn't been great. So right now, what we're seeing is that there is, per city, there is different ecosystems where data lakes are created, and this is a good thing in itself, but it's the purpose of using the data that we're getting into those lakes is now widening. It's not just mobility as a service companies that do this super app. It's also research institutions, academia, the city authorities. And they're actually even opening it up for businesses as well and startups to even be able to build new solutions, entrepreneurs as well, through publicly available data. And we're seeing that in several cities. And that's actually how I think that these AI models and the amount of data that they need are creating a new sort of business model and infrastructure per city. And I think that's a good thing. And I think us in the private sector will need to collaborate more and more in standardizing these ways of connecting different backends and let the data flow.
Okay, so do you envision like different parties learning from this standard set of data then?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think we're just fostering the next generation of companies in this industry as well, really. So just having the APIs available for anyone that wants to build a new app that come with a feature that neither of us three had thought about is already a progress in itself. And we're seeing that on a constant basis, that we, at least at Urban Sharing, we see different students even creating apps of simulators and basically features that are super useful, and then they end up becoming part of the mobility ecosystem. And that is thanks to the sharing of the data that is happening. And of course, within the cybersecurity, I completely agree with you, Itamar, on that one. But yeah, I definitely think that we're fostering the future startup ecosystem of mobility with that.
Okay. And how much of an obstacle is regulation? How can we navigate regulation with the progress and the advancements made in AI and this kind of software?
Well, this is a challenge, I would say. In the current age, regulations and working in the city is one of the challenging part of entrepreneurship in general, especially micromobility, because it's a relatively young industry. So from one side, you have entrepreneurs, right, who are trying to scale a business and use different tools to make most profit out of each vehicle you have. That's where AI actually helping a lot. And agentic AI will help even more, basically, to have more revenue per employee per year comparing to, let's say, pre-agentic AI when you have to scale the human capital, right? At the same time, we have a city which top priority is the safety for not only the micromobility but the general population. So that's a challenge in general, and every city have their own approach. But I will say that the best approach for that solution is closed pilots with specific operators, so they can prove that AI is safe. Or if it's not safe, they have time and tools to adjust it, improve it, and then it's released to the public audience, to broader audience, to different cities and different countries. And it's case by case, I would say, depending on the solution we are solving and the problem we're solving. Sorry, and the use case, I think it's just goes to a specific country. You discuss with specific municipality. You agree on a pilot. Hopefully, it's successful, and then you scale it to the whole city, and then you go to the next.
And how about the people on the ground? Do you think that there's resistance from, the average person being, as you say, afraid of AI, worried about the dangers of it?
Yeah, actually there was recently Harvard Business Review published the general analytical data about how people are thinking about AI, and it looks like general population, more than 40% are saying that this is the way to go, and they are trusted. And older population, I think it was over 45. They divided 18 to 25, 25 to 45, and then you see maybe 20% are say yes, 100% is very good. 40-50% are kind of we are on pause. We don't know yet, and there is also a big part which says no, it's too fast, too risky. We need to keep things slower. But I think it's education. You educate, you give more information, you give more good use cases, and then with this comfort, people will just say, yeah, it's safe, it's good, it helps the entrepreneurs, it helps the city, and then the mindset will shift, I think, organically.
Okay, great. Thank you. And taking a step back from AI, so now more generally towards software as a whole, what would you say is the biggest challenge for you for providing your service to the operators? What kind of action do you need to see, whether it's from cities, regulation, something that facilitates the software offering that you can give operators to optimize their operations? Kristian, could this be one for you?
Yeah. I was just thinking where to put the angle on this one. I think you were talking about regulation like 2 questions earlier as well, and it comes into your question now. I think it's important to say that we're European native companies working with machine learning and AI, so we are GDPR native as well. And I would say that when we talk about regulation, it would be, the European Union, as is well known, is very good at regulating, but perhaps not the best at fostering innovation, right? And that is perhaps what is a hurdle right now. We are European companies that respect data privacy, that have all the systems set up by architecture, because we have to, in terms of having European servers and keeping personal identifiable information stored in separate servers. So having all of that infrastructure done, if we're following the European rule book, it would also be really nice if the European Union really channeled some more funds towards these kind of innovations that we have, because it's the future in general. And speaking of your last question, which was, are people happy with AI? And I think most of the businesses we sell to are happy, because all this data also provides them with a certain overview and control over what is happening. Whereas before, at least in our case, we're substituting pen and paper mostly, and Excel sheets. So going from pen and paper towards a full kind of big brother where you can observe, businesses are very happy. Perhaps our users on the street are not always taking it with that great of an enthusiasm to be tracked at all times. So we, at a UI level, we created a series of options as well to allow the the operators on the street to accept or reject suggestions, and just that acceptance or rejection by a human is also tracked by the AI, and it tends to learn from that and tries to improve it. But we have actually shaped it so that the final users of our tool, which is actually the operator that is driving around a van, also finds it acceptable and that they can have a say, and that it's not just a fixed itinerary menu that you just have to follow from A to Z. So I think, yeah, that combination, a little more financial offerings by the European Union as they do with other sectors as well, and just catering for our final users on the street as well at an AI level.
Great. Is there anything that you'd like to add on that, Itamar?
Yeah, I think the model we have at Monogoto is lowering the barrier for connected devices. Like Kristian said, innovation now, the fact that you have entrepreneurs and cities are opening up, this is something that is only doable because of all these software innovations and AI. Just think about how easy it is to do a few things today, and think how hard it was to do it 10 years ago. So you've got OEMs and people who develop their vehicles, and they have access to manufacturing at low volumes that few years ago, if you didn't have the millions of dollars, you just couldn't play in that game. And the same thing goes for the software-defined capabilities. You have to comply with regulation. So either you have 20 developers who understand all the regulatory requirement and the landscape where you operate, and then if you want to scale your business from one city to multiple cities, to multiple countries, to multiple continents, you need to scale your team and negotiate different agreements with different partners at every location, etc. This is where I think lowering the barrier, working with these types of platforms that tell you, okay, relax, grow your business. We got you covered. That is a show of strength that obviously if the European Union will fund it a little bit better, that will be even more successful. But us as entrepreneurs, the businesses that we support, we just empower them. We don't know which one of you guys will be, the next 200,000 vehicles in a fleet. We don't know which type of ride journey the customers will enjoy. But as long as we focus on the user experience, on the journey that they take, and we take all the efforts, we'll do all the regulations behind the scene, we'll make sure that you comply as an entrepreneur, as a business, without you needing to do all the heavy lifting, we'll empower you, then we can really foster innovation. And that's what we're really all after. We want to support you guys with Fleet Tech 2.0 so you can run with your business. At the end of the day, we don't bring the riders, right? The buck doesn't stop with us. We just empower you. So I think by us taking the heavy lifting of the regulatory requirements, we allow you to focus on growing your business. And that's how we lower the barrier.
Great. Thank you so much. We have just a couple of minutes left. So if there's nothing to add, does anyone have any questions about the use of AI in fleet technology? No? Well, then I think that we'll naturally end it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.